Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I will be discussing my review of Agatha Christie's Five Little Pigs. This is a Paro novel, a Hercule Poirot novel, written by Agatha Christie. This is, I believe, my seventh Agatha Christie book that I've read. Maybe my sixth. I'll have to go back and look, but I've read something like seven now. I've read quite a lot, and I really enjoy all of her books. And unfortunately, this one I already gave back to the person I was borrowing it from, so I don't have a copy. So I'm just gonna show it up here. But to begin this review, I'll say that this had a very different beginning and setup than any other Agatha Christie book, but the climax was very Agatha Christie style. And I'll get into why in a second. So this book's setup is it's a cold case. This is Paro having to investigate all of this stuff, but it's from years ago, from almost 16 years ago. It's a case of a wife who was mad and murdered her husband after he was having an affair, and then she was convicted and she went to jail and she died in jail. But she writes a letter to her daughter right before her death, basically stating her innocence, and her daughter, who is now an adult, feels compelled to prove that innocence, and thus she decides to search out the best detective out there, Hercule Poirot. And Poirot, surprisingly, is willing to take the case very quickly. In this book, I've noticed that he is very heavily influenced by young beauty. He's more inclined to be kind to young people, to see pity on them, and he does in this book. He takes pity on her, and he doesn't at the beginning of the book necessarily believe in the mother's innocence, but he pretty much takes the case just because he wants to help out the little girl. And he goes in depth. He gets every detail he can find. And this isn't like a cold case like you'd see in modern television where the characters are just using forensic evidence to determine things. No, this is Poirot having to use all the witnesses' recollections of the events. And he goes really in depth and finding out every little detail of everything they know and can pull from. And even though they're contradictory, he's okay with that because he knows what he's looking for. And so the reason it's called Five Little Pigs are there are five different potential suspects, and they all match the nursery rhyme about the five little pigs. And so he interviews the suspects. You have the stockbroker and his brother, who's the herbalist, I guess you could call him. I don't remember the exact title. And then you have the governess. You have the woman who was the adulteress involved, and then you have the sister of the supposed murderer. And so all of them are suspects. And Agatha Christie lays it out really well. And then you have the climax, and there's a big twist, and it's really well done. And I won't go into spoilers. I will say that the setup and the middle portion of this book is the weakest of any Agatha Christie book I've read. It's substantially weak. However, the climax is on par with all the rest of hers. All of her climaxes are excellent. And it's just that the setup and the middle part was weak. And the ending makes up so that it's a positive review. It's a good book, but it isn't great, and it is amazing. And so it does get kind of reduced some points. Still highly enjoyable as a book. Most of the characters were not as fleshed out as they could have been because you're getting recollections of the characters, but you did get something unique. At least this doesn't feel like it's a paint by numbers. It's not. This is a unique mystery story for Agatha Christie. The two characters who I think are the best fleshed out are, and I have to get their names right so I don't get it wrong. You have, why am I blanking on this? Amias Crail, and then you also have his wife, Caroline Crail. The two of them were by far the most well set up, and Amias is the guy who dies, and Caroline is the woman who is suspected of murdering him and gets, is accused and then goes through the trial, and she ends up dying. So both of them in the current timeline are dead, but you're getting everyone else's impression of them, and thus you get to understand their characters so well, and it's just so well done the way that you understand their characters. They're the two that stand out. Everyone else kind of was done pretty bland. I remember who did what, but I didn't feel a connection to the other characters. I felt a connection to those two characters. And the last thing I'll say is that I did appreciate Agatha Christie's handling of infidelity in this book. Oftentimes in murder mysteries, in couples that are not faithful to each other is a common trope, but it's usually played off as okay, or it's not a big matter to society. However, in this one, not only is that infidelity shown as wrong, but it shows the toll that it takes not only on the couple, but also on the third person that's involved. And it shows just how wrong it is and how important the sanctity of marriage is. And so I really appreciated all of the themes that Agatha Christie dealt with in that. And she shows compassion to some of the people involved, but at the same time shows, no, this is wrong. And so I really appreciated everything she did there. So as a whole, I think it is a good novel and is a good murder mystery. And as a whole, Agatha Christie is still my favorite murder mystery writer, and she's still one of the best writers out there, I think. But this is just one of her weaker books. And so I give this book a 7 out of 10. Very good, not great or amazing. So if you've read this book, let me know what you thought down in the comments section. Did you call it? I called one part of it, and then she twists the knife, and I'm like, oh, that's so brilliant. So I didn't get this one, but it was still so much fun to read. So let me know what you thought about it. If you've read other Agatha Christie books, let me know what other ones you think I should read. My next up is And Then There Were None, which is one of her best-selling books, so I'm interested in that one. But until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.